Did you know that? Did you know that that happened? August 4th, 2013, a Muslim convert, Damon Agnew, went to an Ace Hardware store on a mission from Allah to help people before he fatally stabbed employee Daniel Joseph Stone 17 times, Mrs. Clinton. April 15th, 2013, Mrs. Clinton, Muslim Chechen brothers Dzhokhar Sarnoff and Tamerlane Sarnoff detonate 2 pressure cooker bombs during the Boston Marathon race, killing 3 people and injuring an estimated 264 others, Mrs. Clinton. Did you know that they were Muslims? March 31st, 2013, Rashad Riddle walked into an Astabula, Ohio church and fatally shot his father after an Easter service. After the shooting, witnesses say he walked to the church holding the gun and shouted that the slaughter was, quote, the will of Allah, this is the will of God. February 7th, 2013, Yusuf Abraham, 28, shot 2 Coptic Christians to death and beheaded them in Buena Vista, New Jersey. He also removed their hands before burying their bodies in the backyard of an abandoned house. Quran 8:12 states, when thy Lord was revealing to the angels, I am with you, so confirm the believers. I shall cast into the unbelievers' hearts terror, so smite above the necks and smite every finger of them. January 15th, 2012, a Jordanian Muslim man, Al-Mahmoud Awad Irsan, 57, gunned down Iranian medical student Gelara Bagadra, a friend of his daughter and a Christian convert who widely denounced Islam. He later killed his Christian son-in-law after his daughter married him without permission. I don't want to read any more of this. There are many, many, many more of them. They show that there is a war of terror going on, and it's coming from one particular, let us say, source. Hillary Clinton is a liar. She is doing the world a disservice by continuing to lie. And the fact of the matter is truth, even if she doesn't believe it or doesn't want to know it herself. Now, the same story is coming out of the mouths of the idiots in the leftist media, that Christians are more dangerous than Muslims, and that the Jews were denied entry in the 1930s, the same way the Syrians are being denied entry. Liberalism is a very serious derangement. It's a very serious mental disorder. They cannot even defend themselves. They will kill all of us unless the truth gets out. So she's trying to demonstrate she's tougher than the thin smoking man in the White House. Does she mean it? Who knows? Who knows what she means? We know that there's only one person who'll do it. Trump, period, end of story. It's simple. He'll unleash the force of hell on them. They won't know what hit them. And it's going to take total war to defeat them. Make no mistake about it. A strike here and a strike there is going to do nothing. Now, I want to remind you of something that many of you are not aware of, and it's a horrible reality, but you know you can't argue with reality. World War II, end of World War II, the Japanese had lost their Air Force, they had lost their Navy. After some horrible battles, we almost lost the war. And there was the issue of taking the homeland, because they wouldn't surrender. The people wanted to surrender, but the militaristic wing of the Japanese people, which was the military, would not surrender because it was not in their culture to surrender. Bushido required they never surrender to an enemy. They'd rather commit suicide. And so they vowed to fight to the death. And the atrocities of the Japanese army throughout the war equaled that or exceeded that of ISIS. You don't understand that. This is not the first time the world has seen this type of barbarism. You can compare it, as I did, and I was the first in the media to do it because I know a little bit about history, to the Mongol invasions, where they killed everyone in town. If they took a city, the Mongols killed everyone except the women that they wanted to enslave and rape. Did you know that? They burnt everything to the ground. They blew up everything. They decimated the whole city. So what ISIS is doing is no different than what the Mongols did. And for that matter, the Japanese did the same thing in many ways. Take a look, for example, at the rape of Nanking. If you know the history of the rape of Nanking, it was an atrocity equal to that of the Mongols. But what I'm getting at is, look at the beheadings of the Japanese military. Look how they beheaded American, Australian, British soldiers they captured. They starved people to death, humiliated them, cut their heads off. So, what am I getting at? There was only one way to defeat such a barbaric enemy. And we had a war leader at the time, Harry Truman, I don't know if you know this little part of history, but his name, Truman, scared the Japanese. When FDR died, the vice president, Truman, took over, and history teaches us that the Japanese leadership was very worried because they said, now we're going to have a real problem because Truman is now in office. Well, the Truman made a decision. He didn't want to kill innocent Japanese men, women, and children, but he knew that in order to break them, he had to break them. And so he used an experimental weapon on Hiroshima and then on Nagasaki, killing mostly innocent men, women, and children. That's even though Hiroshima was largely a manufacturing city for the war machine, but that's a separate story. It was not done so much to take out their war manufacturing capacity. It was done to, frankly, out-terrorize the enemy. I'm sorry to tell you that. In other words, he fought terror with terror. And he also had made that calculation because he knew by what had happened in Okinawa that if he tried to take the Japanese homeland with American troops, we would have lost between 500,000 and 1 million American men. And what he said was, better them than us. You know, a couple of books ago, I said, stop the coming civil war. And I said to you that Obama's been engaged in a civil war against civil society long before he was foisted upon us by the secret hands behind this amazing, amazing situation that we're in. And now the whole world finally recognizes the danger to their societies from Muslims. I mean, in plain English, I can't mince words anymore, because amongst the good ones, there's some bad ones. At a time like this, you don't bring in refugees. You let it all sort itself out. You get rid of ISIS. Then you even ask yourself, why do we need to bring in refugees at all? I mean, but you don't foist them upon a people that's opposed to it. And yet they continue the big lie. They continue to double down on their double talk. They're saying that they're mainly women and children. The exact opposite is true. Every study has shown that majority of Syrian refugees that Obama is rushing through the gates are single men of military age, and yet they keep lying that they're women and children. I would hope that Jed Johnson and every other official in this corrupt administration be required by an act of Congress to put up a personal surety bond, collateral, in other words, of a house, something in value of $1 million or more, that would go into a fund that will be used for the victims of terrorism, should such victims occur somewhere down the line from any of the, quote, innocent refugees that they're bringing in. I hear the applause. Savage, once again, you're ahead of the pack. Savage, you came up with a great idea. If they're so convinced that they're all safe and wonderful and wholesome, clean as the driven snow, as it were, then I ask each of these wonderful government officials who are just certain, to 100th degree of certainty, 100% of certainty, that all of them are innocent, they will not harm us, that they put up collateral for a victims fund, a future victims fund. And should none of these refugees conduct an act of terror within, let's say, a time period of 10 years, they get their money back with interest. See, the fund would earn interest. The collateral will earn interest. Then Jed Johnson, the corporate attorney from Wall Street, who is so sure of these things, even the president should put up some collateral. He's a rich man. He could write a book and get a $20 million advance. Put up the advance of a future book on this fund for innocent victims of these refugees should they occur. Is that irrational? Now, why am I so sure that we're going to have a terrorist attack from amongst the refugees? Why? Because the law of averages would tell us that it's going to happen. The law of average would say that amongst these innocent refugees, there's going to be some bad apples, and they're going to hurt some American people. What do I mean by government zero? It means a government unto itself. A government unto itself. No representation for the American people. An article just came out in the Drudge Report that a governor of Tennessee, was it the governor of Tennessee? No, a lawmaker in Tennessee wants to put the National Guard to stop the refugees. Activate Guard to stop refugees. Don't let them into the state. Bring them back to ICE. Do not let any of them into the state. Tennessee GOP leader round up Syrian refugees, remove them from the state. They're not coming to Tennessee, they're yours. He said, take them back to the ICE center and say, they're not coming to Tennessee, they're yours. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Instead, we have Moonbeam in California saying, give us your tired, your poor, and your possible suicide bombers, because we need the votes. There's more. It gets even worse, but I don't know how much of this you can take. I personally can't sleep these days. I'm having a rough time. I mean, I sleep, but then I think about this, and the only question that keeps going back and forth in my mind, and it's the pregnant question. There's only one question in my mind. How would you stop it, Michael, if you had the power? And there really is only one answer. And the one answer is not going to happen. You know what the one answer is. There's only one answer to stop a future terrorist attack in America. You know the answer, right? There's only one answer. And we know we can't do it. We cannot do what Franklin Delano Roosevelt did. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or Swiss America, which is big news. Despite the fact that the smoking thin man in the White House last night threatened Congress once again with a veto, the House of Representatives overwhelmingly just approved legislation toughening the screening of Syrian and Iraqi refugees, and a large number of Democrats who realized they'd be thrown out of office joined their Republican cohorts to pass this common sense legislation. Incidentally, it's a veto-proof number in the House. We'll see what the Quislings do in the Whig party, in the Whig side of the aisle. They're so busy with their wigs on, seeing how much money they can make off the war, I guess, that this is of no interest to them whatsoever. You know, the shopping carts could be sent to Syria. God only knows what could be done in between everything else. Think of the money that could be made. If you think no one's going to make money off this crisis, you're mistaken. Look at Catholic Charities. Look at Lutheran Family Services. Look at Baptist Family Services. They've never had it so good. But the truth is the truth, even if no one believes it. And a lie is a lie, even if everyone believes it. The man, the smoking thin man in the White House, has always favored Islam and Muslims. You know that from the day and from the get-go. On ABC News, he referenced my Muslim faith. It was Obama who gave $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funds to rebuild foreign mosques. It was Obama who assured the Egyptian foreign minister, quote, that I am a Muslim. It was Obama who bowed in submission before the Saudi king. By the way, there's an amazing panel of cartoons on the difference between Putin and Obama that came from the Federalist Papers that I put up on my website, michaelsavage.com, because, you know, they say one picture is worth 1,000 words. Putin versus Obama, brilliantly compared in 10 brutal pictures. The Federalist Papers Project. And they're not cartoons, they're photographs. Putin looks China's president in the eye, and they show Putin standing eye to eye with China's president. On the right side, Obama bows like a weak dog to China's president. Putin looks the Saudi king in the eye, stares at him. Obama bends, and you see his behind. Next one, Putin looks Japan's emperor in the eye, standing straight. Obama bows forward to the Japanese prime minister, and the Japanese prime minister looks at him like a moron. And the cartoon bubble says, what's wrong with this idiot? Nobody's supposed to bow to me. I'm just a prime minister. I mean, what is he doing? The next one shows Putin on a judo mat, says Putin is one of the boys. The next one shows Obama on The View with Whoopi Goldberg and the girls. Next one shows Putin controls his dog without a leash. His dog is walking beside him with Tony Blair. The dog is off leash, listening to him. The next one shows Obama being pulled by his dog Bo, running behind him. And it says Obama's dog walks him, and there's a cartoon bubble over the dog's head which says, I can't believe this psycho egomaniac named me after his initials B.O. It shows Putin throwing a man to a mat. Putin, black belt in judo. And then it shows Obama wincing like a girl at the sight of a judo match. Next one shows Putin riding horses. And the one on the right shows Obama riding girly bicycle with helmet. Okay, that's what they did. I mean, I don't know whether you agree with it or not. Just, it's a picture. Then it shows Putin married a soft-spoken beauty. Obama, well, okay, we won't go into that. Putin, eye of the tiger. Obama, feminine look and smile. When the two of them meet face to face, well, you get the picture. He's a laughingstock on the world stage. The only people who still believe in him are Chris Matthews, who gets a chill up his spine and his leg when he sees